This is not workable. I couldn't do this. I could kind of like straddle it, but yeah, there's no way I'm riding behind a seat in the furthest back position back here. Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is the all-new 2025 Buick Enclave Avenir, the top most luxurious trim of the biggest crossover from the Buick brand. And in this video, after testing its main rival in the Lexus TX 350 premium front-wheel drive, I'm going to tell you why I would absolutely buy this over that Lexus. Stay tuned. Yes, gearheads, this is a Buick, a big Buick, perhaps the biggest I have ever seen. This new Enclave not only received a glow up in styling, but a grow up over the years. It truly is a big vehicle. Not so big that it won't fit in my 1963 built 2 single bay door garage. Yeah, that's right. This is rivaling modern Chevy Tahoes, and it's big, both inside and out. Unlike the new Tahoe and Yukon and Escalade, this is a unibody construction versus body on frame. We'll talk more about that when we move inside. Much like the Lexus TX that I referenced at the beginning of this one, it uses some controversial styling, at least for the brand's history, up front here with the grille. Both of those vehicles, this one and that TX, employ a very different grille strategy than the brand has used previously, and I think this grille 5 million times outshines that Lexus TX 350. You let me know down in the comments what you think of the styling of the two. We'll talk a little more design here in just a moment, but while we're up front, we'll do a little spec sheet comparison with what motivates these vehicles, because that Lexus TX uses a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, and the V6 is gone from the Enclave. It now uses a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Here on our Enclave, we get 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. That is more power and more torque than the Lexus offers with its 275 horsepower, 315 pound-feet of torque. This puts the power down to all 4 wheels on our all-wheel drive model, but again, front-wheel drive is the standard configuration, and it employs an 8-speed automatic transmission, and generally speaking, that has been smooth and seamless. But let's close the hood and talk about styling. Yes, this very much departs from the brand's history. It is a very nice, very handsome crossover all the way through. Buick survived the financial crisis and the bankruptcy of General Motors, mostly because of its popularity in China. So that is why we still get Buick in the States versus something like Pontiac. But this vehicle is the first time I'm like, okay, I really see where Buick is going. And it stands to reason that, yes, it has a decent place in the marketplace after spending some time with this one. I have really enjoyed it. I have been thoroughly impressed with this vehicle. I don't know if I had low expectations coming in, but every time I hop behind the wheel, I am very impressed. First of all, just looking at it, it is very much a more handsome vehicle than the Enclave has been historically. It has departed just a bit from its styling, but is quite in line with the new styling direction of the brand. We get the new Buick Tri-Shield logo, gone as a circle, and the staggered step logo. We get divorced running lights, turn signals from the headlights. You can see the LED running lights and turn signals, sequential turn signals, which I really like. LED headlights, no fogs on this one, but a big chrome grille because we do have the top trim Avenir. Think Avenir as Buick's version of Denali. It really is their top most luxurious offering. This one starts with the preferred trim, but yes, goes all the way up here to Avenir. As we move around to the side, your eyes are not deceiving you. Those are 22-inch wheels and tires on this Buick. Yes, when did Buick get 22-inch wheels and tires? It is just insane, but that also speaks to just how big this vehicle is, because these 22s look proportionately white to the rest of the vehicle. These are satin nickel finish wheels that are specific to the top Avenir trim. They are wrapped in 275/45 R22 Continental tires. They are CrossContact tires, and you can hear the vehicle got tired of sitting and waiting for me to film, so it shut off to save on fuel. You can see as we pan around to the side, it has a fairly safe styling, but it is a very large vehicle and does differentiate itself from its twins from GMC in the Acadia and Chevrolet with the Traverse. We are still waiting on the Cadillac version of this vehicle, but I would say from my week of driving this one and my limited time in both of the others, this is currently my pick for favorite on that platform. I think it is also the biggest on the platform. I've spent time with the Chevy and the GMC. Neither one has felt as large as this. It really is a big vehicle. You can see we get nice, tasteful, bright work all the way around the windows, on the door handles, those satin nickel wheels. And as we pull around to the tail of this one, you can see the Avenir gets these white tail lights back on the back. I'm going to go ahead and remote start it and show you exactly what this looks like with those lights on. Full width LED light bar across the back. I really do like the style of this. It really elevates the overall appearance of it with those white LED lighting elements back here on the back, but obviously they light up red. Another really cool touch is the Buick logo here on the side does light up when the taillights are illuminated. Coming to the back, we don't just have a flat rear end. There's some sculpting and design work back here. So you don't just get that drop off from the rear window. You get this little lip area with the new Buick logo. You can see we have Enclave all-wheel drive over here and Buick over here. No Avenir badges on the back, but that works just fine for me. We have dual exit exhaust for that 4-cylinder back here, as well as a power opening rear hatch. I go ahead and open that here, and we'll talk a little bit about storage, because that is one thing that has been very impressive about this platform since its inception. They have really touted just how much space this has next to all of its competitors, and we have quite a bit of space back here. First, I want to tell you my backpack is actually in the shot right now. You may not know it because, well, it is hidden right here underneath this false load floor. You can see we've got a very deep well. We can remove that well to get to our spare tire. Hopefully we will never have to do that, but big enough for a couple backpacks, maybe a couple carry-on roller bags as well. So I really like that option. It allows you to bring some additional stuff and hide it away from prying eyes, even though, yes, you can get a retractable cargo shade. We just don't currently have one on this. Overall storage space is very nice on this. Behind the third row of seats, we have 22.9 cubic feet of space, which is less than the current Chevy Tahoe, but not by too much. It is a couple cubic feet more than that Lexus TX. You can fold the third row seat down and you get 57.1 cubic feet, which is just slightly less than the TX at 57.4, and fold both second and third row seats down, you get 97.5, which is half a cube more than the Lexus TX. Though I will bring up, we've got buttons right here to fold all the seats down. I don't know what the issue is, if the engineers just didn't go to trig, but I'm gonna go ahead and power fold these seats down, and you'll see there is a problem right away. The second row of seats are in the way. I don't know if that just means that they decided to give the second row of seats just a little bit more travel for more legroom, but when you do the math, these seats do not fold down. Even if you power fold the second row seat down, which you can do from back here, we still have a slight issue with putting that third row seat down. And unfortunately, you have to come around to the side of the vehicle and manually slide that seat forward in order to fully put that third row of seats down. Go ahead and put the passenger side back up. Maybe, come on. No, he doesn't want to respond. But now you can see just how much space you have back here in the back. Plenty of room, absolutely massive and cavernous, although it is just a slight misfortune that if you aren't prepared in the second row, you can't fold the third row down, no matter what you do with the buttons here in the back. Otherwise, it is a fairly usable system. I'm just curious why this guy, there we go, he just needed a break before coming back up. You can see we do have top tethers all the way across in the third row. We'll talk about child seats when we get around to the other side of those seats. Coming to me, I am 5'10". This hatch opens up plenty wide. I've got plenty of space underneath it, and you can see it is a power opening and closing hatch. Before we move inside, I do want to show you the key. It is your typical General Motors key, very similar design that we've seen on a lot of GM products. On the back, you have lock, unlock, remote start, hatch release, and your panic button. You can also deploy a physical key down here from the bottom if you need it, but some of the things I really like about this, and one thing that absolutely wins over the TX, is remote start. While Lexus has finally fixed that remote start stopping feature when you unlock the vehicle, that's right. For the longest time, if you remote started a Lexus product and unlocked it or opened the doors, it turned off. And I'm like, that's when you need it the most. My favorite feature about General Motors remote start is you can remote start it with the doors still open. Like, it doesn't care. It's like, you need some air? We got you. So you can remote start it. It is a proximity key, so you can just keep it in your pocket, your purse, wherever you keep your keys. And I really like, we have the remote access on all 4 doors. So if you have to load a kid in the back seat, first and foremost, you can come to the back door and unlock it with a push of that button right there. It isn't a passive system. You do have to push that button to unlock it, but it is very quick and easy to get into. All right, let's talk a little interior design because there's a lot to touch on here. First, fake wood, a little chintzy on the design, but definitely better than some of the stuff that General Motors has been doing over the years. We get a little metallic look here, but real metallic door handles. And we've got some ambient lighting here in all 4 doors. We get some perforated leather material here, very nice and squishy. Simulated leather up here, nice and squishy. We get 2-person memory seats. We get auto up, down, a driver's window, but auto down on all the rest, not auto back up. Very interesting on a $65,000 vehicle, why you don't get express up on all 4. I don't know if that's a safety issue or what. A little bit of storage here, a little bit of storage here. There is your hatch button right there. Bose Performance Series stereo on this one. It's worked very well for all our George Strait listening this week. Coming to the seats, we have an 8-way power adjustable seat with 4-way lumbar and massage. So that's your quick access button for massage. These are leather appointed seats compared to the new Lux seats that we had on our TX. You can see we get Avenir there in the headrest. Very interesting stitch design. I like what General Motors is doing with all their contrasting piping. It's a very handsome seat, and I can tell you from a trip to the State Fair of Texas in Dallas last night and back, they are comfortable for the long term with or without massage, though that massage is a little weak. You can see here we have a 30-inch, not OLED, but LED screen here. It is a freeform design, but Apple would just be totally embarrassed with the bezels all the way around it. It is still a very cool look and does a lot of different things for you when you start the vehicle up. We were recently in a Genesis GV80. It had a 27-inch screen like this, but it was OLED. It was also rectangular. Go ahead and put our foot on the brake and start this vehicle up. And you can see, yes, the screen is divided into 3 different sections, and we'll talk about all that here in just a moment. First, I want to talk about what's over my left knee. You have your electronic parking brake, 4 different drive modes: Sport, Tour, Snow and Ice, and Off-Road. Very interesting that this has an off-road. Snow and Ice and Off-Road automatically trigger all-wheel drive, but this is not an automatic all-wheel drive vehicle. I was in Tour yesterday and there was some wheel slippage, and just got a notification on the dash that I might want to push this button. I like how competitors just automatically sense wheel slippage and will make the adjustment for you. Auto hold on your brake in traffic, engine start stop for fuel savings, and brightness control for your giant screen. Speaking of this giant screen, multiple different sections. We have your head-up display controls right here. This is a touch-sensitive area of the screen. So yes, that does mean we have head-up display. And it is a very good one, though it is one of the smaller ones I have seen in General Motors vehicles. The SUVs I've referenced earlier, the Yukon, the Tahoe, have a massive like 15-inch. This one's decently sized. It's not as big as the rest of this vehicle. I really like how Buick has done this screen. Here it's a simplistic view of what you need. You've got time, temperature, and typical displays here. You've got your tachometer here, your fuel gauge here, your fuel to empty, your odometer, your compass, all the necessary information without just overloading you with information. And they've done a really good job of keeping it within the viewable area of the steering wheel. I really like that. We have some auxiliary functions here that do a good job of just kind of keeping you informed. And then all of your shortcuts for the infotainment side of the screen. Yes, this is the infotainment side, and you can see we've got stuff like your ambient lighting control. You can go into vehicle status, your trip information. You can see 342 miles. We've gotten just over 21 mpg in that. So fairly good returns from that 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. But then we have CarPlay in this one, and very interesting use of CarPlay because of this freeform design. This is an Apple wallpaper background, but CarPlay is still relegated to a rectangular section. I would say this is very similar to a 10.5-inch display in an outgoing Hyundai product. It's nice, it's decent, it's decently sized, but doesn't make use of all the extra space. When you go to the home screen, you can see how it seamlessly blends that wallpaper into the rest of the design. Very interesting look. Another thing I want to talk about with CarPlay is this button right here on the steering wheel does allow you to change your views. And right now on our map view, this is a Google provided map. But if I hit this button one more time, we go to an Apple provided map. It's going to take a little bit to load. I'm going to go ahead and hit the map button here and give it a little bit of a help. But yes, now we have an Apple map here on the back. If I were using Apple for my navigation, this would absolutely be all pre-populated by Apple. Hit this once more and we get all of our driver assistance stuff. Again, all of our speed is relegated over there. But I really like this. It is a simplistic view. It even gives me what's currently playing over here. If something were currently playing, we'll fire up some George and show you. Yeah, now we've got George over here. I can have my map over here, and I can have my simplistic view right there. This is how I've had it for a majority of the time I've been driving this vehicle. I really like the design and the layout. It works very well, though just a little bit of wasted space over here in my opinion. Another thing with wasted space, we'll go here to home and hit the camera button. We do have 360 cameras on this, but it is such a waste of space. You have this big, beautiful freeform display, but the HD camera space is so limited. Even this over here is so large and taking up so much room. I don't know, I just feel like this is a complete waste of space. I feel like this could be fixed with software, and I hope that General Motors does do that. This isn't the only GM vehicle I've seen with such a waste of space on the backup cameras. It's a very crisp image. it's just wasted space. It's so small. You can see we can hit a few different angles here, but very much really like all of the different camera views that we've got here. Can hit that X button, go back to our standard view here. That takes me back to General Motors has tied a lot of stuff in here. They have shortcuts for your lights. They have shortcuts for most of what you are going to need, including that camera. But I don't know, they're just leaning very heavily into everything being here on the screen. But again, this is generally how I've left it. It has mostly worked for us. We'll go one last time into climate because all of your climate control stuff is otherwise relegated down here. We do have tri-zone climate controls, heated and ventilated seats that are basically automatic. So it knows from the 86 degrees outside that I want my ventilated seat on. Really like that. Ventilated passenger seat as well. Rear seat controls here, but I can go front or rear seats there. So really like all of that up here very nicely. We do still get some physical controls for your temperature, your fan speed, and your auto fan speed. You can also turn that off. The vents work very well in this. It has been a nice, cool ride the entire time we've been in this. Moving up, we do have a rear camera mirror display, even though the view out of the back really isn't all that bad. So I really like that. We've got some sunglass storage right up here. I really like that sunglass indicator. And then we've got the slowest sunshade for the massive panoramic roof I think I've ever seen. This thing, it's so slow. It is so slow. It took me almost the entire trip home from Dallas for this to open and close yesterday. It's just painfully slow. We do not get a suede headliner, but it is a premium headliner. It's nice, but definitely not what you're going to get in some of the competitors from, say, Kia with their Telluride. Otherwise, I really like the way they've designed the storage up here, though I feel like this is a little bit wasted. This is a massive volume knob. I feel like they could put it up here and done side-by-side Qi wireless chargers. This is a Qi wireless charger that has mostly worked for us. Get a little bit of additional storage here, a couple cup holders here, USB-A and USB-C interfaces right here for CarPlay and charging if you need it, but again, it is wireless. Then we have a floating console-like design. Lots of storage underneath here, which I really like. Lots of storage in here, which I really like as well. And this locks into place so it's not going to fall down on you. You can't really see it right now, but there is some additional power right up here with the cigarette lighter style. And this is not perfect. It is a press vehicle, but there is a little bit of fit and finish. The issue that I want to show you here, so all you people came to knock on the fact that I said I'd get this over a Lexus. Yes, there's a little bit of fit and finish issues. Nice big glove box. You saw it was damped, but it is not lined with felt, but very roomy in there. And then again, these very comfortable seats. I really like the front seat, but let's check out those back two rows. Moving to the back seat, I already showed you we've got the entry buttons on all four doors, but there are some few wins and a few misses back here for us. One of the big misses is no sunshades built into the rear doors. No manual, no power, no nothing. Deep tinted windows is all you get, so that is a slight miss, but we get all the same materials and designs from the front, including ambient light, real metal here on the door handle, and decent storage on top and bottom. Coming to the seats, we get similar seat designs to up front, though smaller headrests that look a little comically small, but all that contrasting piping. We'll talk seat controls here in a little bit. We do have lower latch points, but I do want to talk about this. You absolutely feel this bump sitting in the seat if you're sitting in it properly, but if you scoot forward just a little, you don't. I don't know. Very curious why they put this big bump here. We'll go ahead and climb in. We do get a B-pillar mounted handle, though you don't really need it because while this is a big vehicle, it's not all that tall. And then coming to me, plenty of headroom in here, though, you know, closing in on a little bit because of the massive panoramic roof. Still plenty of room. We have adjustable armrests back here that are really nice. And then gobs of rear seat leg room. This goes back to the point we made when we were talking about the rear storage and that third row of seats. I feel General Motors engineers prioritize second row comfort and space. So they added some extra travel versus what you would normally get, which gives you more legroom in its furthest back position. But these are sliding seats. We'll go ahead and move them all the way forward. I can still sit behind myself without touching the front seat, just being overall comfortable back here. We have cup holders on the back of the center console, no longer in the doors like on previous generations, which is okay. We get our tri-zone climate control buttons right there, heated captain's chairs in this, no ventilated seats, 2 USB power ports, household style power, rubberized storage down there to go with the map pockets and the storage in the doors. Really like ceiling mounted air vents here in the second row, helps keep all passengers cool. And like I said, plenty of headroom, plenty of comfort back here in the second row. We'll go ahead and slide that all the way back. And I want to show you one of my favorite things about these second row captain's chairs. This button right here, it tilts and folds the seat forward. So even with Tucker's child safety seat in place, we can get into the back seat. On prior generations, it was only on the passenger side. They've added that functionality to both sides of the vehicle, really opening up the rear space to get into that third row of seats. Unlike that Lexus TX, which was 222 seating, this is 223 seating all the way back. So yes, there is a very narrow third seat back here. We did have 2 people riding here next to some stuff we had stored in the back last night. So it is a usable 3-row, 3-person seat, though they better be comfortable with each other back here. I did show you 60-40 split bench. They are power seats, but I can't recline them or do anything. You can see still good headroom. There's a nice cutout here, and I have air vents pointed right in my face up here, which I really like. Some lighting back here, some USB-C power back here, some cup holders, decent sized rear windows so I'm not super claustrophobic. And then we get a button right there to get out. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this seat back and show you that my feet fit in between the rails rather nicely. Now, when you do lean the seat forward and pull it back like I just did, this is not its furthest back position. This is the furthest back you can have it while still power folding these third row seats down. So you can see plenty of room. Again, I feel like GM engineers just said, no, we're gonna give the second row seats more legroom and allow this to go further back. So I guess they had the right intention in mind. Sometimes the execution is just a little bit head scratching, but at 5'10", still comfortable back here. Though with Tucker's seat all the way back, I'll go ahead and show you this. This is not workable. I couldn't do this. I could kind of like straddle it, but yeah, there's no way I'm riding behind a seat in the furthest back position back here at all. But I really do like how even with his car seat in place, I can tilt and fold that seat forward. All right, that's enough of a tour of this. Let's see how it drives and see if that is the biggest reason to buy this over the Lexus TX. Setting off in the 2025 Buick Enclave Avenir. Yes, you instantaneously know there is a turbocharged 4-cylinder under the hood, especially if you've driven a modern Canyon or Colorado. This very much reminds me of that powertrain. You hear it, it's a little bit of a coarse sound. It is perhaps the least luxury aspect of this vehicle, and perhaps the most distracting thing about this vehicle, given that it is trying to be very luxurious. It excels in all other areas, but one more time. It's just a little coarse sounding. There's a little too much noise here in the cabin versus out there, like sound isolation. It's just too much and too coarse. It doesn't sound like a luxury powertrain. And other than that, power is good, the transmission is good. I do, as I mentioned earlier, kind of dislike the fact that you have to select all-wheel drive versus the vehicle just knowing that it needs to switch to all-wheel drive, but I am sure that is how General Motors helps save on fuel. Otherwise, this really has been a big comfy vehicle that has impressed me the more I drive it, and I have driven it a bunch, over 300 miles so far. Again, we took it to Dallas last night. So comfortable on that long ride. This Avenir has a premium suspension package, so it's not quite as nice as the Air Ride that we tested in the Chevy Suburban High Country as we drove that across the entire state of Texas, but it is still a very good suspension setup. Though there's only so much you can do to hide the fact that we do have 22-inch wheels and tires on this. There is just a little bit of low pro on those tires versus if we had a smaller wheel with more sidewall that could mask, again, a little bit of the imperfections in the road. But as far as vehicles with 22s go, I'd say this is perhaps the best riding. A lot of that has to do with the fact that this is a crossover, not a body-on-frame SUV. So it doesn't ride like a truck, but it is a little bit on the floaty side because of just how large it is. I mean, this really is a big vehicle. It is massive. In fact, I am blown away every time I look at it, every time I get in it. Just how spacious it is. You already saw how much room we have in all three rows and how flexible the seating arrangement and the storage capacities are. This is very spacious, very low, very flat floor in this. All of that is thanks to the fact that this is a crossover, not a body-on-frame SUV, all of which translates to a very usable vehicle that I think will be better suited for daily use than perhaps a body-on-frame SUV. This is the biggest vehicle that Buick offers because they don't offer anything on a truck-based platform to compete with a Yukon and Tahoe in General Motors lineup. That'd be stretching that platform a little bit thin, though this platform is kind of stretched that thin. I don't know. Cruising on this though, absolutely stellar. Here on this insanely brand new smooth pavement, it's very nice, but on the textured pavement that Texas is becoming known for, again, a little bit of road noise is communicated through those 22-inch wheels and tires, and the lack of overall sound deadening in this vehicle. I don't know if that is due to weight savings that they really cut back on this, but there is a little bit more road noise than I would expect in something that is a premium product. I expect the Cadillac version of this platform, if we finally get it, will be just a little more quiet and polished on the inside. Now, the final reason, perhaps the biggest reason that I would have this over the TX, that has to do with this part of the steering wheel right here. You might have seen it when I was talking about everything up front here. You might see it from this back camera now. There are cameras here in the steering wheel. There are cameras here on the steering column, watching my eyeballs because this has Super Cruise hands-free driving. And again, last night to Dallas and back, we used Super Cruise a lot. We used it a lot in that suburban high country as we went across Texas. I will say the Super Cruise and this one might need a little bit of an attitude adjustment. When you come into Texas, we have big signs that say drive friendly the Texas way, and that may or may not be a lie because we do get a little aggressive, especially in the DFW Metroplex. And I think the engineers of this vehicle definitely spent perhaps a little too much time in the Metroplex, because I can say, anecdotally speaking, that this Buick perhaps wanted to put an older Buick Envision in its place, and then didn't cut it off, but it got extremely close to doing that with its automatic lane change as we were going through the heart of downtown Dallas yesterday. There were also a few times heading down open freeways where, even though I had the blind spot indicator lit up on my passenger mirror over there, it had already started the process of looking for a lane change to move back into the right lane out of the left lane, and I politely said, no, let's not do that. You do get an alert in the vibrating safety seat, and it will put on the blinker, and you can simply put the blinker on in the opposite direction to say, let's not do that right now. But overall, this has worked fairly well, though there have been a few hiccups in this particular vehicle. I don't know if that's just simply a software update, recalibrating of all the sensors or what, but I figured I should tell you that, yeah, this one was a little more aggressive with some of its lane changes. Otherwise, I've been just blown away with this vehicle. It has been so comfortable, so nice to have for the week that we've had it. I will be sad to see this one leave. This one has definitely elevated Buick in my mind's eye, and I would 100% buy this over the last front-wheel drive TX 350 that we tested from Lexus. Yes, the cost savings alone, not only was that more expensive with front-wheel drive, you get all-wheel drive in this one, plus the optional Super Cruise. This really is a good package all the way around. I have enjoyed it. I've really loved it. And aside from perhaps some perceived build quality or long-term ownership reliability issues that I unfortunately can't test here on the channel, I foresee this being a really solid vehicle for a lot of you out there. If you want to see more from us, including our family review of this, where Holly's behind the wheel, Tucker gives his insight from the back seat, and I install Tucker's child safety seat in this one, hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you are notified when that video drops later this week. Find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. But as for me in the 2025 Buick Enclave Avenir, until next time, gearheads, bye.